Hey guys, I just need to know, how cold is it where you are right now? Because it's getting really cold where I'm at. And we're hearing a lot of really concerning comments and we're getting a lot of really worrying emails. And we're all just very concerned for you guys. Because I'm going to be honest with you, LIHEAP, that one federal program that millions of families count on to stay warm, is still frozen at the federal level. That money is not moving yet to the states. And it's causing delays that are getting, honestly, really concerning because winter isn't waiting. It's getting colder and colder, and that relief is very badly needed. So, today I'm going to tell you some things that maybe people haven't already told you before, right? For example, you may have a legal right to heat even if you owe hundreds or thousands of dollars. We're going to go over that a little bit later. In a lot of states, we know that the temperature alone may be enough to stop a shutoff. And in some places, a single doctor's note can instantly freeze your disconnection notice for months at a time. We're going to talk about all of that today because a lot of people don't know that these protections even exist. And the utilities certainly aren't going to call you up and tell you all of that information, right? We're also going to walk you through what exactly you can do to stay warm right now, where you can turn for help, what you can do in your own home to stay a little warmer. And then we're also going to talk about those little known rules that may be able to just stop the shut off altogether in the wintertime. And I hope you'll stick with me because this video is personal to me. If you've been around a while, you may have heard that my family once got a $3,364 utility bill. And we were able to navigate that without losing our heat because we were able to get assistance from different organizations. And in fact, one application in that process turned into over $10,000 in free home upgrades and repairs that dropped our utility bills permanently. So I know what I'm talking about. I've been through it before, and I'm going to walk you through everything I know here. So let's go ahead and dive in. But of course, as we dive in here, I do want to know how cold it is where you are, or maybe how much your current utility bills are, because that's another thing. I know that utility costs are going up crazy bad all across the country as well. So I just want to start with a quick little note about LIHEAP and the Weatherization Assistance Program. Normally, these are the first doors I would tell you to knock on because they're great. LIHEAP can give money directly to your utility company to help pay your bill. They can help in crisis situations. They can help with fuel emergencies. They can even help with furnace repairs in some cases. Weatherization goes even farther in fixing your home itself. They can help with insulation and ceiling drafts and repairing inefficient systems, which can help you save money every single winter. But here's the truth this year, like I said, those new federal LIHEAP dollars are delayed. Some states are running on leftovers. Some states are offering up their own funding while they wait for the federal government to get moving. Others have closed their applications entirely until the federal funds arrive. So you might apply and hear nothing for weeks. We don't have a timeline yet. We do know that the money is expected to come in eventually, but right now it's just not there. Even still, you should not skip it. You should still apply if you have the chance because if you get on the list early, you'll be first in line when the money drops. And in my case, with that crazy high power bill we got, LIHEAP was the single biggest assistance that we received. So these will always be my two favorite programs because of that experience that I had. Because, like I said several years ago, we opened our utility bill and saw a shocking balance. We somehow owed over $3,000, and they said it was the worst case of budget billing mismanagement they had ever seen. And they acknowledged that it was partially their fault for miscalculating everything so badly, but they still said we had to pay it within 30 days, which was laughable because we couldn't afford that. We had no idea what we were going to do, and the shutoff notice was already in motion. Like they were going to come take the utilities away. And we didn't know what we were going to do because we didn't have that money. We didn't have really any money. But we were saved from that crisis because LIHEAP paid $1,000, our county's Veterans Office paid $800, CPS paid $500, and then the utility put the rest of it on an extended payment plan. So we were able to skate by. Not one of those things would have been able to take care of the issue completely on its own, but together they kept our utilities on. So the best part of that story is that when we applied for LIHEAP, we also got connected to the Weatherization Assistance Program, which gave our home ridiculous amounts of improvements. We got insulation, we got new windows, we got a heat pump. It made such a difference. It actually dropped our utility bills in our old house from around $600 a month to about $150, which was still high, but it was amazing how much it was able to save us. So I will always recommend those programs. And that's why I want you to apply for everything, even when those funds are delayed, because you never know what opportunities may open up to you as a result or what relief may come in when that funding becomes available. So please, I know you can't afford to wait for some unknown date when money may or may not be available, but apply for them anyway, and then follow the steps we're going to go over in the rest of this video for the things that you can do right now to get assistance in the meantime. Okay, so the next thing I want you to do is call your utility company. And I know that's stressful. Nobody likes calling their utility company, especially when they can't afford to pay. But I promise you this, your utility company has more options to help you than they probably want to admit. So ask them specific questions like, can you pause my shutoff while I apply for assistance? What hardship programs do you have? Do you offer payment arrangements during the winter? Is there a fuel fund I can apply to? Do you have a protection policy if a child or a medically fragile person lives in the home? These questions can unlock so much relief for you. When our oldest was a baby, we were so broke that we were literally counting coins out of a jar trying to keep our lights on. Calling the utility company didn't fix everything, but it bought us more time. And it connected us to other resources that could help. And that time is everything when it's freezing outside and you just need to delay that shutoff. Now, over the years of researching low-income programs, I have found that utility companies often have a ton of different assistance programs available, including discounts for seniors or people with disabilities, budget billing programs that can help you avoid seasonal spikes in your bill, and so much more. Some companies even offer what's called a DPA, or a deferred payment arrangement, that lets you pay a small amount down and then divide the rest of the balance out over a year or so. And by the way, there's another rule that your utility company usually hopes you don't know about that we're going to talk about a little bit later that may be able to protect you even if they say there's nothing they can do, so make sure you stay tuned. But for now, just know that even if they say that there's nothing they can do, there may be local nonprofits or churches that may still be able to help you. And honestly, these smaller community programs are some of the best unsung heroes in winter emergencies. So many churches and nonprofits have emergency heating funds set aside specifically for crisis situations like this, when someone's furnace dies or your propane tank is empty or the utility is threatening a shutoff and you are completely out of options. These programs are not just for people who go to those churches either. Most of them will help anyone in their community who's in crisis. Even if they can't pay the bill in full, they may be able to contribute something. And remember, I'm living proof that a bunch of individual contributions can add up to one big solution. So after you call your utility, the next thing you need to do is call 211. Tell them that you need emergency heating assistance or crisis fuel support. They should be able to point you to local churches, community action agencies, tribal programs, St. Vincent de Paul, Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, and small organizations that you might not even know exist. If 211 isn't available in your area, or if it's not very helpful, because we've heard some mixed reviews from some of you about how helpful it may or may not be in your area, then you can also call your local food bank or your community action agency, because they often have resource lists as well that may be able to help you connect with additional support there. Now, I know some of you use untraditional heat sources, so not everyone has natural gas or electric heat in their homes. Some of you are heating with propane, oil, pellets, firewood, and that can add an extra layer of stress because you have to pay before you get more fuel, and you aren't protected by things like shutoffs because it's not necessarily a traditional utility service. So if that's you, I want you to know that there are programs specifically for fuel deliveries, especially in rural areas. Some counties have what they call firewood banks, where volunteers chop and deliver firewood to families who are running low. Tribal governments often have fuel assistance funds that can help people in their service areas. Some companies may be able to do a partial fill or offer some sort of hardship arrangements too. You never know unless you ask. So if you're heating with alternative fuels, don't wait until your tank hits 5% to start calling around. Start with 211, call them right away, then call your community action agency, and then your food bank, and then local nonprofits, and just work your way down the list. See what options are available to you. Now, I know without LIHEAP funding available, there may not be enough funds to go around for everyone who needs assistance. So I also want to hone in on some immediate and practical solutions that aren't ideal but may still be able to help you. I have a friend I love. I'm going to call her Kay. She lives in a travel trailer deep in snow country. Her pipes are always at risk of freezing. Her furnace doesn't really help. And she sleeps in 3 layers of clothes with a little space heater, just trying to get through the night, because that structure really isn't built to stay warm in that kind of a climate. Now, if you can relate to that, I want you to know a few things. First, you're not alone. There are a lot of people in those kinds of situations right now. And there are programs that may be able to help you with space heaters, electric blankets, warm coats, gloves, hats, thermal layers, other forms of help that may be able to help you stay warm even in a less than ideal situation. We are doing our best to aggregate a list for you at lowincomerelief.com with all of your options. In the meantime, I would recommend that you call local charities, community action agencies, shelters, fire departments, 211. Be creative, right? In a crisis situation, cold can be fatal. You can't mess around with it. You have to do what it takes to stay warm, guys. I am so worried about you. I know that there are so many organizations out there that are gathering supplies, but if you don't reach out, you're not going to be able to get the help that you need. So please, please reach out. Now, if your heat has already failed or your home temperature is dropping to dangerous levels, you may even be able to get emergency motel vouchers from some nonprofits. This is especially true if you have very young children, if you have seniors in your household or medically fragile family members, or if your county declares a severe weather event. This is often pretty rare. You're usually going to find them from the same organizations that offer motel vouchers for homeless people, which means that you'll want to connect with your county social services, faith-based shelters, community action agencies, that sort of thing. But if the temperature inside your home is unsafe, please don't wait for a repair or for that LIHEAP funding. Please reach out and try to find another solution. Even if they can't put you in a hotel, they may know where you can find a warming center. Those often pop up during extreme cold and can help save lives. You'll often find them in libraries and other places like that. Now, while we're doing everything we can to help you find ways to stay warm, I also want to help make sure that whatever heat you do have goes as far as possible. So this means sealing up any spot where the cold is sneaking in. You can cover drafty windows with a plastic film or even with blankets. We hang heavy blankets over our windows in the winter because otherwise our power bill is just insane. You can also roll towels at the bottom of doors, close off unused rooms if you're relying on a space heater. If you can drop your thermostat a few degrees and add an extra layer or a blanket, that can help you save money over the course of the month as well. But please remember to stay safe. Now, before we get into the protection that could stop your shutoff based on the weather alone, I want to talk to you about something that is wildly misunderstood but incredibly important, and that is temporary medical holds. So if someone in your home has a serious medical condition, you may have the right to put a temporary medical hold on your utility account. This isn't some loophole or urban legend. This is actually written into the utility regulations in many states. So if anyone in your home uses oxygen, mobility equipment, a CPAP, or has breathing or heart issues that could be worsened by a lack of electricity, this may be able to help you in a big way. So basically, in many states, if a doctor certifies that losing heat or electricity could seriously harm someone in your home for medical reasons, the utility has to pause the shutoff process. This isn't true in all areas, but it is true in many areas. For example, Ohio has a 30-day medical certificate program that can delay a shutoff for a full month at a time, and you can use that up to 3 times in a 12-month period to protect your electric, natural gas, and water services. Illinois offers similar protections for at least 60 days. Now, this is going to require a doctor's note or a medical form. It is a little bit of a headache to get. It also does not erase what you owe. It does not cancel the bill. It doesn't pay anything toward your bill, but it buys you precious time to apply for other help, to get those LIHEAP funds dispersed, to set up payments, to connect with other local programs without losing your heat or power. Now, I know that filling out forms can feel exhausting when you're stressed and cold, but this one is worth every second because in some states, the utility has to restore power the same day once they receive that medical certification. This protection alone has saved countless families, and if you think it might apply to you, just call your utility and ask, do you have a medical necessity or medical certification program to stop a shutoff? They'll know what you're talking about, and trust me, it can make all of the difference. Okay, now we're going to talk about the big one that I've been talking about since the beginning of this video. And going into this, I want to remind you, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a social worker, I'm just a researcher who's been researching this stuff for a long time. So we're going to talk about winter shutoff moratoriums. These rules go by different names in different states. Sometimes they'll be called cold weather protections or winter termination rules or seasonal shutoff bans. It just depends on where you live. But basically, they all come down to one idea. In many states, when the weather gets dangerous, utilities cannot leave you without heat. So these protections often run from a specific set of dates, like December 1st through March 31st, and they apply to low-income families or people enrolled in assistance programs. Pennsylvania is a good example. If your household income is at or below 250% of the federal poverty level, and you get your power from a regulated utility, they generally can't shut you off between December 1st and March 31st. Other states use different dates. Some use the forecast. Some have rules where the temperature alone can sometimes stop a shutoff. If the forecasted temperature is going to be at or below freezing, they may not be allowed to disconnect you for non-payment. Some states set that threshold differently. We do have a list of that on our website at the link that we'll drop below if you would like to kind of see what we've found in your area. Now, here is the thing that you need to hear. These protections are not automatic everywhere. They are also not available everywhere. Some apply only to regulated utilities. Some only apply to certain states. Some require you to prove your income because they only apply to people under a certain income level. And some require you to contact the utility and specifically ask about the rule. That's why I'm telling you about this now, because I don't think the utility company is going to call you up and tell you this. They want to get paid, right? This is a business for them. I am concerned about your safety, so I'm trying to give you every possible option I can think of. Just like with the medical holds, these winter moratoriums do not erase what you owe. You're still going to owe that money, but it should help make sure that you're not left in a freezing home while you're working on it. That's why it's important to still proactively apply for things like LIHEAP and other assistance so that you don't reach the end of the season with an enormous balance that you can't pay. Trust me, I've been there. Owing the utility company over $3,000 is a terrifying place to be. I do not recommend it. But when the temperatures drop, these protections can and do save lives. So if you take nothing else from this entire video, please remember you may have more options than you realize, even if those LIHEAP funds have not been dispersed yet. So if you're facing a shutoff, or you're terrified that one might be coming, or you don't know how you're going to pay your rising utility rates, please follow the steps that we've outlined in this video to try to get that help, because it may be able to buy you days or weeks or even months of protection while we're waiting for that LIHEAP money to be dispersed. We're going to keep monitoring that situation. We'll let you know when it changes. And in the meantime, please go check out our other video on low-income grants to see what other help you may qualify for.